Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel, and today I'm going to do a flip through and review of the enormous Dolmenwood campaign book, Adventure and Peril in Fairy Tale Woods. There's a lot to say in this book. It's a 400-page book, plus I think actually 450 for something page book. So I'm going to try and go through it pretty quickly. I obviously have not gone into every page of this book. I have not run everything in this book. And in fact, I have barely scratched the surface of the adventures that can be had in this book. But I have used it to prepare and run a number of sessions at this point. And so I'm going to give it a shot because I really want to go through this book with you and just show off some of the features, some of what I like, and some of what I found challenging. So the Dolmenwood campaign book was written by Gavin Norman. There's additional writing by a whole who's who of some of the best writers in the space, with editing also by some of the best writers in the space. And then, yeah, you've got some Pipes on Drune Knoll playtesting, layout, cover. Yeah, I take a picture. There's lots of credits. They're worth knowing, but I do not know them. The breakdown of this book is pretty reasonable. It starts off with the secrets of Dolmenwood, so this is kind of going to set you up for what the whole campaign setting is like, and what some of the features are of the campaign, and things that you're going to need to know. Then you've got factions and power, starting on page 41. This talks about the different factions and how they relate to one another. Running a campaign, so it's what it sounds like. With a special note, I want to say, like, designing adventures, dungeons, and denizens, and dungeon environments is all pretty juicy stuff. It's actually really, really useful because one of the features of this is that the contents are relatively shallow, but they're diverse. So there's lots of information, but it's like a couple inches thick, right? And so when you're actually running an adventure, you're probably going to want to spec it out a little bit farther than what the book's going to provide, although the book is going to provide you some amazing seeds for actually creating those adventures. Then it talks about exploring the wilds. These are your procedures for exploring the wilderness. You've got your settlements section here that goes over the different settlements in the adventure. The vast majority of this book is taken up by the hex descriptions, starting on page 188 and ending 200 pages later. It goes over every single hex on this map in at least, I think it's one page per hex. So, and I'll show you the layout for that. It's pretty stellar. And then you've got your treasures and oddments starting on page 390, going for another 40 pages. And then you've got appendices, including an adventure, The Pipes on Drune Knoll. So, Secrets of Dolmenwood. Again, this art, very consistent, fantastic art, design. Starting playing. And this is really nice. It gives you, like, this is kind of how to get going here. Which is awesome, because it is also the case that, like, you are almost certainly not going to want to be blocking your play behind reading a whole 500-page book. But yeah, this talks about the thing I just went over, so I won't get into it. The regions here, let's see. Yeah, Secrets of Dolmenwood. So these are the different regions. The Aldweald, the Dwelmfjord, Fever Marsh, Hag's Addle, the Highwold, Lake Longmere, Mulch Grove, the Nagwood, Northern Scratch, the Table Downs, Tidelands, the Valley of Wise Beasts. You get a history of the regions. It's, it's brief, but it's kind of complete. It's really nice. It does give you, like, I think, some of the writing here is just super, super punchy. The Longhorn nobility, for their part, trace the heritage of their noble houses back to 7 kids born from Breggle before her demise. So that's in the 1500 years ago, and just, a sentence to kind of set up the origins of the Longhorn nobility. I like that it's not gilding the lily. It's not trying to oversell it. It just kind of tells you what you need to know. The ley lines and standing stones are mystical features of the geography that are going to impact things, and you'll need to know them. But also, their evidence and effects are like described in the hexes, which is really really useful. And then yeah, the Ring of Chell is I believe this circle here, and that's kind of it has to do with how uh, the Cold Prince was dispelled and is kept out of the realm. There are shrines everywhere, so the PCs can find different shrines and engage with them. Restoring shrines and praying at shrines have different effects. You've got fairy. So this is the fairy doors are listed on the map here and how to get into fairy. You got the fairy roads. So these are ways to cross over the realm without actually traveling on in the real world. You can travel through fairy, which is quite nice. And all kinds of fun stuff in the fairy realm and fairy roads. Fairy nobles and their dominions. Love to see some Andrew Walters art. I think if it's not, it looks a lot like it. It's really really wild and good. The Duke who cherishes dreams. It's funny too. I think one of my elves is named Dreams of the Patchwork King. They got some great names here for the fairy lords, and so you get to meet all of them, which is great. The wood gods are these crazy big creatures throughout the Dolmenwood, and they are they're going to have a big impact on your campaign. But you can probably just pick one or two and be like, oh, these are going to be the centerpieces of my campaign. In fact, I think Atanuwë, the Naglord, is going to be. So he's not even in this as a like these gods are separate of that. So Gaeluch is probably the one I would use. There is a pronunciation section in the back that I have ignored. So if I mispronounce stuff, I'm sorry. Part 2 is factions and power. So Atanuwë is the Naglord. This is the 9-legged Chaos-godling and its horde of wicked minions. My people. One of my PCs believes this to be a messiah, which I think is a characteristic of the way that they rolled their character, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so you get some details here. Love this Naglord art, is so sick. But this is like a breggle, crookhorn kind of leader. And so yeah, you get some really gross looking crookhorn lords. The Cold Prince is the Fey kind of the previous Fey ruler of the realm, and got your organization there. The Drune are the human magic users who have kind of sealed away the Cold Prince and kept him out of the area, and they kind of live in this circle of Chell. And they've got some crazy dudes. Caduceus Doom, Elder Thanatarch, members of an organization. Then you got the human nobility. So these are the different human houses and their nobilities, which is pretty cool. We have not engaged with much of this yet, although I think the party maybe did meet Lady Theatrice Harrowmore recently. They returned her daughter to her, which was pretty exciting. Longhorn nobility. This is the Longhorn families. Malbleet is one that we've repeatedly run into, and Ramius is another that the party knows of because one of my characters is a knight of Lord Ramius. And yeah, Lord Griffius Malbleet is one of the kind of bad guys that shows up a lot. The Pluritine Church is not something that my PCs have super engaged with, but it is important, and actually they just went into the Abbey of St. Clwyd, the ruined Abbey of St. Clwyd in the Churchlands, and so there's some stuff going on there. They've met some of these characters already. One of the things I really appreciate about this game is how well tied together things are. So like when you're meeting people and interacting with the adventures as they're written or in the different hexes, you run the risk of hitting some of these people in these factions, and it's just really intense that you're like, oh yeah, no, that's tied up to this guy, and that's tied up to that guy. And the page references really help you to find your way around. And I'm actually going to say right now, the physical book, not the business for that. The book is amazing. Absolutely get the book. Use the book. But the PDF does something that the book cannot, and holy smokes, it is a game changer. So we'll get to that in a second, but when we get to the hexes, this is the witches faction. Some of the different witches around the Dolmenwood. And then you've got your faction relationships. So this describes each faction and its relationship to the other factions, which is great. And then how the factions work with the adventurers. This is amazing. Being able to connect the dots between what they're looking for or quests they might offer, what they can reward, is such a fantastic way of organizing that information. And then you get, let's see, the hag. So I think these are some of the kind of, like, they're not factions. They're just kind of like, they're like characters who are factions in their own right. So Igraine Mordlen is the mysterious sorceress of Northern Dolmenwood. Another design decision here that I think is just fantastic is this brief subtitle of each title section. Just really helps you to kind of get your head around what you're looking at in short amount of time, which is awesome. Part 3, we're running the campaign. So again, this is kind of the rules and some of the things you're going to be engaging with while you're setting this up. So what kind of campaign style, what kind of group type, customizing the tone, the time period, the role of the church. Do you want to have a really big oppressive church or just a smaller church? The wider world, because Dolmenwood only represents this like 200 hexes or so inside of a forest, it's implied that there is a world outside of it, and I love that. I think that's really, really good. And then it gives you some guidance on campaign themes, which is awesome. Some stuff about running the world, so what your role is, describing the world, monsters and NPCs, and then character advancement. Rate of advancement is an important characteristic here, and they talk about it on page 106. There's actually really important how to deal with all this stuff, so it is something you'll want to kind of think about ahead of time. I did not necessarily think enough about it ahead of time, and my PCs are quite wealthy. That said, they've also had to spend a good amount of money, so I think they've just been pretty successful, which is good. They've also lost some PCs. We've had like 3 PC deaths. So again, this goes into designing adventures and adventure sites, which is just great advice. Designing dungeons, again, great advice with common dungeon, key symbols. Like, this is the kind of stuff you as a new GM are going to need no matter what game you're running. So it's awesome that they did this way. And then you've got your dungeon denizens, which includes your ability to stock a dungeon and do wandering monsters, basically just out of the book. Amazing, very versatile and useful. And then you've got dungeon environment. So it talks about fungi and plants and molds and slimes, which is great. The weird underworld goes into a whole section about traps. You got a whole variety of different traps here that you can engage with and put in your adventures. Secret doors, tricks and weirdness. Awesome bit here on tricks and weirdness. And then, again, we're at page 106. This is about awarding XP. And there's some optional rules here for dealing out some XP in different ways if you want to haste an advancement. I have been hastening advancement because I'm on kind of a compressed schedule with most of my games. So I do try and hit the juice when we can. But PCs haven't become too powerful. It's actually been really about right. It feels quite good. Part 4, Exploring the Wild. So this is the section on traveling through the Dolmenwood, and you get your different seasons, your daylight hours, unseasons, weather, getting lost rules, encounters. These are all present on the inside of the GM screen if you get the GM screen, which is awesome. There's rules for fishing. Amazing. We've not gone fishing yet, but I mean to. Foraging is also awesome. I think they've done a little bit of foraging. And then you've got hunting here. So amazing rules for kind of wilderness exploration stuff that is not usually present in most of your bog standard RPGs. It's quite good. Part 5 is your settlements. This goes into each settlement in quite a bit of detail. So Blackswell is the first one, and as you can see, you've got your map here, your keyed map locations. You've got kind of an overview of what's going on here with NPCs keyed off in this specific way. You've got your map key, some encounters you can use by day and night, and then you've got a key description of each of the locations on the map, which includes, monster stat blocks, NPC stat blocks, different items that might be available, all really, really punchy, well written, perfect form to feature. Like, it's just really, really great. And also, but I gotta say, the art for the maps is just outstanding. Like, this is so much fun. There is also a map book that came with the Kickstarter rewards that was intensely good. I drop it on the table all the time and just like, this is where you are. And my pieces are like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. So we have a great time with this. You're gonna see repeated this kind of design sensibility. Each of these places is rich and unique and has its own details. But the details are structured in a very consistent, rhythmic way. So you're going to find yourself very easily able to move from settlement to settlement and not feel like you are, having a hard time finding what you're looking for. I feel like the structure of this book is so outstanding for just becoming accustomed to the rhythm of prep and play. And using this book at the table before I kind of keyed into the use of the tablet, was still pretty enjoyable. It was just a lot. It's a lot to lift. It's a heavy book. And also, like, obviously following a link is just way cheaper in terms of time cost. Langsthorn is where my party spent the vast majority of their early adventuring careers. So they got to meet all the NPCs here and engage with basically all of the stuff in the whole town, which was awesome. I felt very supported this whole time. And in fact, there is a character here, Farnham Ribblemead, that is with the party still. I think John over at 3D6 Down the Line also has Farnham Ribblemead with the party. So it turns out like that's a pretty common thing to have happen, I think. And then Meager's Reach, my party has not been here yet. Odd, my party has also not been here yet, but I look forward to them getting here at some point. Orb Swallow. Prigwort, my party has just arrived at Prigwort at the end of their last session, so we're going to start our next session here in Prigwort. So I'll be doing some reading through this probably later today. You got a woodcutter's encampment, so no place is too small, right? If it's on the map, if it has a key on the map, like, they're gonna go into these details and they're gonna give you enough to play with, which is just amazing. Now, part 6, the hex descriptions. Here is where things start to really ratchet up. So it goes into breaking down how you can use each of these, how they're designed, which is awesome. There is a brief description about the different terrain types. Each terrain type has its own features and characteristics to it that are, again, present on the GM screen. You've got your lost and encounters check stuff, your bits on ley lines and foraging, a local area map, your features, right? All here and present. So, the first hex, the spectral manse. A barren expanse of stagnant pools. The keening wind carries strains of distant violin music. What is going on here? Well, you can see it's a bog. It's in the northern scratch, so that's the random encounter table I'm going to use. It's a 2 and 6 to get lost or have an encounter, and encounters are 2 and 6 likely to be with a bewildered banshee heading to a ball at the spectral manse. What a beautiful, amazing, rich sentence and a half. We're like, what is happening? And then you get the spectral manse, right? Which is great. You get a whole adventure here. You could absolutely run this without any additional stuff. Now, should you? No. You should totally spec out what the manse looks like. Like, if you know they're going to be heading here and you want to put something in the spectral manse, make a spectral manse adventure and use this content and zhuzh it up and add the map and the NPCs and all the cool stuff that can happen. This is how you do it. All right. Then we get the read wall, which is awesome. I love that they put this art in here to kind of show you what the place looks like. The golden goose is down here. A vastness containing nothing but carpets of red, orange, and ochre moss. The wind howls. These briefs, being able to snap out a single sentence of like, Unsteady islands of festering vegetation amid a mire of black mud and iridescent pools. Nailed it, right? Like, my PCs think I'm a poet. You nailed it, dude. Demesne of the Frore long blue-green grass mixed with wild coneflower and goldenrod. Unnatural silence fills the area. Again, you're getting pretty close to the circle of Chell. And yeah, you've got the nest of the Frore is hidden here. Look at this crazy art. The outlook in the red monolith. There's a huge red monolith up on a hill here. The granite crag. The weeping woman. The cabbage plot. Lady Borid in Merkin's army. The shadow of Lord Gnarlgruff. I think this is his old spot. Yeah. If Lord Gnarlgruff comes back to life at the end of the Imelda's Song adventure, he comes here and does some shit. It's crazy. You got the Wishing Pit out here, which is cool. Grave of Aberthon and Helath Tor. So you can see it goes column to the bottom and then column to the bottom. So that's the organization here. And yeah, Oath Island, the Moss Garden, the Summerstone Uruzur, wooden figures. Now, my party has not, by and large, spent any time over on the west side of Dolmenwood, really at all. So I'm not going to have a ton to say about these, other than I've read some of them. They're all great. The art and organization is doing a ton of lifting here. So I would not expect you to find it very challenging. One thing I will say is when you're in the PDF and you're looking at this, click on these. They will literally take you to the page for the next hex. You do not know how powerful that is to be able to just directionally say, oh yeah, I am in between 6 other pages in the book right now, right? I can just tap and get to any one of 6 other pages is remarkable. Not to mention, if I want to go see Bishop Sanguin, I just go page 69 and tap that. It's just linked for me. I can just get there. Amazing. The face of the Drune. The Drune are cool. They use owl motifs a lot. And so you'll have those kind of show up a lot throughout the adventure, which is throughout the campaign. And that can be a fun thing to just drop in. Kind of, telegraph that the Drune are around. We've got Garnak's Tower here, Craven Mounds, the bandit hideout in the south. This character was at the Imelda's Song party in disguise, I think. Which is pretty cool. Mother Goat's Place. And then you get into 04, so it's the Hanging Tree. Love me one of those. Lady of Spring Unending. Queen Arda's Demesne. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. The Remembering Mist. Lair of the Cheese Fiend. How did they find me? I am a cheese fiend. Look at those tits. Man, amazing. Fungal Bloom Cave. Drune Lock. Guardian Gargoyles. Hamlet of Galbraith. Which I think Galbraith is Lord Ramius. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, no, it's not okay, it doesn't get its own settlement. Right. Castle Everdusk is the one I'm thinking of. The garrison. Yeah. Manog's Flock. Tower of Birds. Then you back up to the north, so the Bog Hermit. Earthstone. People of Zarlak. I don't know how to pronounce that. The Horn. Falls of Neon and Embassy, Horblight Keep, and the Isle of Yeth. I think Horblight Keep is, it's right on the lake there. I think it might be like a Drune stronghold, if I am not mistaken. I might be mistaken. Again, my party has not come over to the west at all. There's a Drune Lodge here. Skeletal Gardener. So many good ideas in this thing. So many good ideas. The Lair of the Bicorn. Amazing. Love me a griffin. Lonely Grave. Hall of the Fomorian. Amazing. Ruined Cottage. Fort Vulgar and the Galosher's Pool on the north side of the lake. And then you get the lakes, which is really nice. The Folk of King Capricorn. Yeah, you can use some merfons down there. There's like goatfish people, which is incredible because of the breggle, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's so juicy. Big Chook and the Dreaming Dragon is fantastic. White Falls and Smyrn's Lost Horde. Snake Witch. Trothstone and the Owl Cave. So this is actually where I placed the Winter's Daughter adventure, as is recommended in the Winter's Daughter book. And so the party did not engage with these owls, but like there's an owl cave there that they can go get some treasure out of if they want. Langston Pool, one of my second adventure was they basically went and cleared out the Langston Pool, which was crazy, and they got this thing and they sold it. So it's pretty dope. The Magpie Gang, the Staring Stones, Ruined Watchtower. So Hex 7, this column 7 is where we really get into some of the places my party have been. The Scraby Who Forgot Her Name. Phantom Isle, Catcher's Bay, the Hamlet of Shag's End, the Shadholm, and Red Wraith Manor. So this is where the Adventure Imelda's song happens. Of course, Langsthorn is where my party has spent a good amount of their time. King Puskin's Road, I had a PC run down here and hide out, I think, in... Oh, maybe it wasn't. You know what? I think he actually just hid out in the Abrathany Animal Orchestra. Yeah, so they have not been to the south there. And then the Toll Bridge. Right here. This is pretty close. Although they did not go here either. So they went to the House of Merowyn Skynes on their way to the Abbey of St. Clwyd. And they engaged with this. The PC died in this encounter. It was awesome. This whole encounter is some of the best writing I think I've ever seen. It's great. There's also... Oh, there's Nightworms to the south. They did not go to the Nightworms. But I did read about them. And yeah. The Bloodied Altar up north. Battle of the Trees. Court of the Naglord is up in the north there. And then, yeah, honestly, they're just a couple hexes away. The Mouse Shrine and the Hermitage. The Ruined Abbey of St. Clwyd. So this is the hex for the adventure, the Ruined Abbey of St. Clwyd, which I'm currently running. We got through our first session, and the party bailed out after they had cleared up some of it. The Bafflestone almost got them. They were having a hard time with this. The Hagslayer, I think they managed to avoid as they pass through this hex. There's got the Worm's Pit, Golok Stone. Yeah, I feel like, man, one of the downsides to having the book organized so well is that you're reading these in order. You're kind of boom, 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 boom. But realistically, the relationships tend to be more interesting than that. So it's like, oh, man, I really want to, like, move from link to link within the physical book. It doesn't matter. Like, it's really, really good. It's enjoyable to read in either direction. But it does feel like you could... If you could do that, which you can on a digital device, you can really get a more kind of led sense of how the story flows through the place. Yeah, look at this art. It's so much fun. Oh, I love this tower. The Tower of Frost. The Flotsam Pool. Let's see. Right. So it'll be in the next one. I think the party went through... They went through one of these hexes here. It was this one. Abbey, yeah. So they went to do Shrub's Finger and Sturge Isle because they were heading towards Prigwort. Ancient Worm Tunnels. Mud Pots. The Lightless Tower. So here's Prigwort and Swinny Tower, which my party just arrived at. So we'll be starting next session there. And to be totally honest, that's kind of as far as they've gotten. I've read some more of this. I have not read all of this. You can see, again, Just super consistent, very readable, very approachable. I think one of the constraints to this is that because they put a hex worth of stuff on each page, like, you're just getting what's here, right? Like, there might be a whole adventure worth of stuff kind of hiding in a couple of sentences. And one thing you're going to want to do is, if you know your PCs are going to go do something, you're probably going to want to spec it out a little bit more. And this book provides you with just enough to kind of get you juiced up, but you might want to put a little extra elbow grease into getting some of these places a little more pinned down adventure-wise. Yeah. Not for lack of flavor, I think just for lack of space. There's just realities there that you're gonna bump up against. The Dung Heap and the Grey Monolith. Awesome. Ravine of the Stag Lord. And yeah. Start getting out into the east here. Unicorn Hunting Ground. Odd and the War of the Sprites. Orb Swallow and the Nutcap Colonies. Henchgate. Ruins of Chankton. Get a hunting lodge out here. Upper Brain of the Mykonom is a pretty great name. Castle Brackenwald and Monarch's Hill is out here. Deceiver's Well, and then you're up into the Slumbering Giant, the Hill of Henlen, Endstone, and the Embalmed Hamlet. And then Blackswell, this is the fungus that came to Blackswell, is set here with some really crazy shit that goes down. You will lose this hex, basically, if you run that adventure. So worth noting, I've read that, and I've read this page because of it, and the Blackswell Settlement. It's one of the adventures that I did not run, not because I didn't want to, because the PCs just decided to go to the Abbey of St. Cloud instead. Grimalkin's Revenge. Cloud Strife is in this game. Just kidding. Gang Deputy. Huh. Woodgrews are cool creatures. Mosslings are fun. Fugitive Witch. Lonely Tree. The Willow Mouth. Ugh. So good. The Willow's Gullet. Shrine to Saint Gripe. Incredible. A Chalk Giant. I love that so much. There's a Lost Scholar out here. Dream Projection. The Clockwork Man. The Merry Lodgings. A profusion of ditches and gullies, their dank bottoms filled with iridescent water. Bracken Outlook. Woodland Cottage. Inside the Cottage. Oh, nice. It looks like you get a little Beauty and the Beast style stuff going on here. Magical Animate to serve guests. Oh, awesome. Jeez. Yeah, there's so much cool stuff to find in this, man. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. Okay, we made it. Holy crap, we made it. We're at part 7, treasures and oddments. Now, treasures. Placing treasure. Okay, I have struggled with this, especially with regards to placing treasure in my own adventures. It makes sense, but it is largely talking about kind of hordes, I think, for the most part. Yeah, it's a little tricky. I have had a hard time with this. Gems and art objects, so that the way it's broken up makes a ton of sense. Like, you got your magic items, amulets and talismans, magic armor, magic balms and oils, magic crystals, magic garments, instruments, rings, weapons. So all of this, fantastic. And in fact, I'm going to say, like, the weapons bit here is really cool. So you get like an item, and then you can just get special powers from it. So, like, one of the magic items that my party has right now, I think, is like, what is it? It's like it's the thing where he thinks he's amazing. It's an oddment, arrogant. When the weapon is used in battle, the wielder is compelled to seek out and attack the largest foe in melee, which is awesome. He hates it, but it's awesome. Potions are great. Well designed. Rods, stabs, and wands. Man, imagine having all of the rods, stabs, and wands defined like this on one spread. How many pages are used up in the Dungeon Master's Guide of 5th edition for rod, staffs, and wands? It's a lot. This is great. This is the way to do it. Mix and match. Make up your thing. Give it a cool name and a background. Amazing. Books and scrolls. You got your wondrous items. These are things that are a little more nuanced and interesting, and I love the way they're presented here. Again, the amount of brevity that's put into this game is just really, really impressive. Trade goods. This is really interesting. So you run into merchants while they're out and running, and they will trade you stuff. So you might be able to buy some of this stuff from here, from these guys out in the world. Enchanted oddments, rare comestibles. So this is like wondrous foodstuffs and beverages and pipe leaf and stuff. Rare fungi and rare herbs. Again, a spread for each thing. Absolutely incredible. And then you got your appendices. So this is the Pipes on Drune Knoll, which I have not run. I think this is an introductory adventure for level 1 to 2 characters. I'll be running this at some point in the future when I do another Dolmenwood campaign, which I intend to do. In fact, I may just shove this into my Shadowdark West Marches and just use it as like a place in that West Marches. That's kind of my plan. Whole adventure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-page adventure. Fantastic. And then you got some rumors here. So you can use these to generate rumors in any of the places. Really awesome. You can just go, we're in Lanxhorn. Let's roll a random rumor, and they can get a rumor. They can lead to an adventure. So really well organized for that. And then you've got some uncommon spells. These are additional magics that can be found throughout the world that are not available in the player's book. What a crazy idea. You guys made an index. You know how much I love an index? Oh god, I love an index. You made an index. Thank you. Alright guys, we made it. Weather by season, terrain types, consequences of getting lost. These useful end papers. What are we going to do with them? We're going to play some Dolmenwood. This campaign has so far been one of the most enjoyable experiences for prep and play that I've yet had in 2020s. Not to say that I haven't had some other great ones. They have been, but like, man, to see a whole campaign like this laid out by an obvious information organization genius like Gavin Norman, and just have it really, really well thought out, is just such a breath of fresh air. Also, this book doubles as a melee weapon, bludgeoning, two-hander, sheathic. It hits so hard. If you like these videos, I hope you'll hit the like button. If you would like to see more of them, you should subscribe. And if you want to be notified when new videos drop, you should hit the bell icon. If you'd like to get access to these and other videos a week early, you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/watcherdm, sign up for any paid tier. You'll get access to my daily postings about my writing exercise, my art exercise of the creations that I make. And of course, you'll also get early access to these videos. And you'll get access to our Discord where you can hang out and throw some dice. I'm going to be starting a Shadowdark West Marches campaign in July. So probably pretty shortly after this video comes out. And if you are a paid member, you'll be invited. You can be able to come and join us in exploring a whole hex crawl that I've been putting together that uses a bunch of modules that I have wanted to review and haven't, or have reviewed and have played. And so, yeah, that's the plan. I hope I'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.